Yeah, welcome to the Kryptik Show. It's your bro. What's up? This episode, I want to talk a little bit about staying power. Yeah, most of my hip hop heroes are kind of getting up there in age. It's how it is, right? I mean, as a fan, I'm getting old. My heroes are even older. So that is what's up. And it's kind of the first time hip hop was a new movement when I was a kid. It was just breaking out into the mainstream, and at this point, it is totally and severely mainstream. So it's been through a lot of changes, and we've seen a lot of shit happen. Now, I want to talk a bit about some dudes who have managed to maintain and what they've done. So I mainly want to focus on two of them. Many artists die young for various reasons. Hip hop is not at all an exception. Actually, we're probably the leaders when it comes to musicians dying young. But I want to talk about the ones who maintained, not just stayed alive, but actually maintained more or less relevant. And I think the key is this: changing tax, changing and varying your position. Alright, so the two people I want to focus on today are actually LL Cool J and Ice Cube. Two very different dudes, but both of them have been around for a long, long time. And I think personally that their staying power, their ability to remain sort of relevant, is by changing tax. Now, both of them have managed to pop up, even though their origins are like long ago. Like LL, even in the old school days, he was like that dude, and he was noticeable, and he was in some beefs, and he came out with some rough shit, and he changed in his career. He changed his music a lot. He was on the R&B tip for a while when the R&B tip was strong, when it was selling strong, to combine the R&B flavor with the hip hop flavor. LL managed to grab a hold of that and was popular basically for the second time. He's always managed to do that. So even though he disappeared for a while, every once in a while, kind of gone for a few years, and he managed to come back with some shit, and that's a strong move. So what he did there was really clever, and he managed to stay in the public eye, and he managed to stay relevant and successful. Somehow, anytime you see LL, he's on that shit, and he's successful. So that is one dude that manages to stay around for basically ever. Later he even managed to get into TV shows and movies and shit like that. So he clearly changed his approach a couple of times and managed to come out on top. Cube is another one of those dudes. Now this dude, we all know and love from his NWA days, then his solo career. Fucking amazing. He's been a part of a couple of crews that he started, Lynch Mob, West Side Connection, all that. And after that, back to solo shit, collaborations. And the dude, he knows how to roll with whatever is going on, right? So he has done that a couple of times. But even early on, he did Boys in the Hood, the movie, and he was an actor in that, and he managed to expand on that. He was in a few movies in the 90s, and he actually upped that game. And at this point, most young people especially probably know him from his movies more than anything else. And he manages to do family movies and kind of comedies and shit like that, which is totally unexpected for those of us who were fans back in, let's say, the early 90s and the late 80s and shit like that. So Cube has managed to really step it up, and more than probably anyone out of all these hardcore rappers from back in the day, he's managed to stay in the fucking business, in the entertainment business. Like, at the moment, he's not really releasing any hip-hop records, and to be honest, as a lifelong fan, I gotta say, I'm not looking forward to his next album if you if he's gonna put out uh, any more of those. Yeah. So the last few, I was kind of I'm out. I'm not feeling this anymore. But uh, he did manage to stay in the entertainment game. Manages to stay on top even to this day. So that is fucking amazing, I gotta say. And they're not the only ones. Most of these older dudes, they've been doing something or other. Ice-T has been in movies. Sticky Fingers, quite famously, did some movies himself. You know, he produced them himself, and they are basically underground shit. So it's a little different, and it's a little less successful, I'd say. So yeah, the whole rappers in movies thing is not unique. You know, meth is in movies and all that. So it's not a unique thing. But I think Q probably owns the master move on that. Like, this dude managed to get into mainstream, like seriously mainstream, family type movies, which is totally unexpected. If you know his career, right? So yeah, these two dudes, LL and Ice Cube, still around. Like, not even so much as rappers at this point, but still around in the business, and that's pretty damn impressive. I'm looking at younger guys as well, like 50 Cent, for instance. He's not so much a movie dude, although he's been in movies too. But he's got the side business and all that shit. So he's moved on from music as well into other businesses, and he seems to be pretty damn successful at that. So I think 50 is also one of those dudes who's going to be hard to get rid of. He's one of those guys who's going to be around for a long time. And then there's the alternative, which is like for older dudes. Like, for instance, you got your Chuck D's and your KRS-Ones and all these dudes. They're still performing. You know, they're still doing the music thing, and they're doing it, well, in my opinion, very well. They always have, and they always will be legends to me. But you gotta figure that they're not attracting too many young audiences, right? So I don't know how that should be scored if you're looking at longevity and, you know, staying power in that sense. But there you go. So I wanted to kind of focus on that a little bit, like, for us younger dudes in the game, and even the people who are coming up now, we may want to check out what these guys did. You know, look at their careers, look at the decisions they've made, and you know, the music, the side businesses, the stuff they chose to focus on, where they landed, and how they did that. Because this is a first for hip hop. This is the first time we have like granddads who are legendary rappers and shit, right? So yeah, this is the first time we're going to see hip hop get old, and we're seeing it right now. It's happening right now. So 10 years from now, we may have our first rapper dying of old age, which would be a fucking novelty, right? It's something to think about. So for my generation and the younger ones, we need to think about this shit. We need to look at what these legendary cats have done and what they're doing, and how they manage to stay relevant, how they manage to move their careers from one spot to another, from one expertise to another, and manage to stay around. Yeah, because this is a lesson, right? What do we do when hip hop gets old? And I've heard Chuck D say in an interview years and years ago, he said some shit to the effect of, like, blues artists, they perform till they die. They do the music until they drop dead, which is definitely the path he's going on, right? So that's respectable. I think it's you know, for life, for real, right? So that's really cool, I think. But I think the alternatives are also quite interesting, especially in modern times when the business itself has taken a lot of turns, and some good, some bad. You know, we got the whole internet business, which is relatively new. Yeah, this is just a little bit of a reminder, just some food for thought, let's say, yeah? So, remember those dudes, you know, not just to give them respect, but also to look at what they did and see if we might want to do something similar, yeah? So, that's basically it. I just wanted to remind people of that and shine some light on an aspect of hip-hop that probably not many people think about too much. Alright, so that's it for me. That's it for this episode. I know, it's a little weird, but there you go. So that's me out. Peace.